Oh, welcome. How you doing? Everybody hear me okay? Yes? Right. I am Gary. I shoot for the Western Isles Archers club we have here on the island. I'm also a writer. And so I have actually quite an interest in storytelling, and particularly in archery storytelling and how archery works in the movies, which is why I'm doing this today. Because I don't know what you think of archery in the movies. It looks very sexy, very dynamic, yeah? But how accurate is it? Okay? The movies, archery. Can anybody name any archers in the movies? Who's the most famous one?
Hawkeye. Legolas.
I was going to say Robin Hood. He's certainly been around the longest. He shoots a certain type of bow, Robin Hood, a very old style bow. But then we go up to the likes of Hawkeye, and we go up to the likes of Elektra in the Marvel movies, and they shoot much more technologically advanced bows. So what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to take you through a quick walk through some of the bows that are available today. So then when we go to look at the movies, we actually know what we're looking at, okay? When we started being archers, we got a stick and we put some catgut or whatever on the back end of that stick, and we got a nice smaller stick and we flung that stick with the big stick, okay? And that big stick looks like this. Now this is not just a stick, that's just what I tell my wife when I bought it. This is an English longbow. Okay, it's made of 3 different types of wood. It's got a Flemish string, as they call it. And to shoot an arrow off this, you shoot it off your hand. So in the old days, the arrow would have looked a little bit like this. They wouldn't have had a plastic knock. The knock would have been cut into the wood. And you have fletches to make sure the arrow goes where it should. There was actually 3 people involved in making equipment for an archer. The bowyer, and then the fletcher made the arrow. Okay? And then the point was done and added afterwards by an arrowsmith. So it was quite, at this point in time, it's actually quite involved in what's happening. But I'm going to use the basics here to try and explain to you why archery is actually quite complicated. And you can't just swap bows here, there, and everywhere. This is a 40-pound longbow. That is not heavy. Would anybody like to come up and try and pull it? Come on. We've got a young lad here. Give him a round of applause. Okay. I said it's not heavy, which is why I'm going to give him a piece of leather to protect himself. If you come around this way, just so we don't get in the way of the camera there. Okay. Are you left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, so you're going to pull the string with your right hand. So hold it in your left hand.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. Now, what I want you to do also is put this here, and I want you to put your fingers over the leather.
Right.
It's just to protect your fingers, okay? Now, whatever you do, don't let go of the string.
Right.
Pull. See if you can get it to your chin. No? No? Okay, when you're ready, just ease down, ease down. Okay, how is that?
Quite hard.
Right, that's a 40-pound bow. Bows went up to 200-pound. They were called war bows, 100-pound war bows. They're shot slightly differently to this one because you don't stop. You certainly don't hold it once you get back there, or your shoulder will probably come out. But that's a 40-pound bow. It's quite heavy, okay? But if you were in the filing rank, you could be told to draw and hold and hold and hold, waiting for those nasty cavalry people to come along, and you're still holding, and you're still holding, and you're still holding. And that's only a 40-pound bow. They would usually be pulling something like 70 or 80. Okay? Archery is a martial art. I mean, military, yeah? Because it was used first by the military, and it takes practice and discipline, and you have to work at it. In England, they made everyone shoot every Sunday on the green. That's what it was for. And they built up their shoulders. They ended up with people, and we've seen the skeletons of them, being deformed because your shoulders wrecked. Right in here. Now, what I didn't tell you to do was how to pull it. Okay? Archery is not done with these arms here. Okay? It's not done with big biceps. That's not archery. Archery is done here. Scapula. Okay? Scapula is what you pull with. This is a big hook. That's all it is. And when I pull that, what's working really hard is my back. Trust me, my back is working hard. Okay? So that simple longbow, 450 pound, 500 pound, and that's not the best of them. Okay? They're a work of art, if I'm truthful about it. Bow was then developed. This is a flat bow. It's still one piece, but it's got very much more different materials in it that make it bend a lot. This is a 35-pound bow. Would anybody like to pull it? Come and pull it, see what you think of this one. Okay, so same again, just hold it. And we'll put that there. You put your fingers around it. And just hold up and just pull back. Does that feel easier?
Bit easier, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Well done. Round of applause. Right. It is easier. It's a lot easier. And that's not just because it's slightly less poundage, but because it's a far nicer bow to pull. It's not just a big stick. If you notice, it's all slightly thinner all down the line. The technology's developing, okay? So these are called flat bows. One piece, and this one, funnily enough, is about 100, 150 quid, and it's an absolute steal at the price. But they go up to silly money as well. After that, we'll go to what you would probably see at the Olympics. Now, this is a recurve bow, okay? When the string's off this, the limbs bend that way. Put the string on it, and it recurves, okay? This one is, what have I got on this at the moment? 38 pound, I think, on the bow. It's one I've shot in the Island Games, and it's absolutely really nice bow. Lovely bow. It's not one piece. The limbs come on separately, and you can interchange the limbs, and you get different weights, okay? Still about 40 pound. You want to go? It's game of the day. It's game of the day. Right, there we go. Put a hand in there and on here. Okay, that's you. How's that feel?
A bit harder than the last one.
Yeah. The reason we have this one and the development of this is because we have things such as a sight. Now, this is one of the major points that you need from the talk today. When we have a sight on, we're taking away what our eyes have to do in talking to our body. When we shot, first of all, with a stick, you would look at it, oh, it's that distance, and you just shoot. Similar if you had a ball and you were throwing it at something. You wouldn't get a sight, aim it up, and then ping the ball. You would just look at it and go, it's that far, and you throw it. What's going on up here in this unbelievable thing we have called a brain, and it is unbelievable, it's calculating everything that has to happen. And you hit the target because of that, and you just go with it. Your computer part of your brain just does it. And with practice, it does it better, okay? We have a sight. What the sight does means that you don't have to adjust. All you have to do is put that sight there, and if it's not landing in the correct place, you move the sight. Simple. Means you can do exactly the same thing every single time. There's lots of other things on here. There's a thing called a button that keeps the arrow going straight. There's a thing called a clicker. That means that you pull back the same amount, because we don't pull the same amount, it doesn't go the same distance. We also have things called stabilizers, which aren't on this one because I've got it on the other one at the moment. And that helps the bow balance. When you shoot this, now wait for this bit, you don't hold the bow, okay? When I pull, I'll show you in the draw position, okay? My hand is not holding that bow. My hand is barely contacting it. If I let go of this string, that bow would fly forward out of my hands onto the floor. Okay? And what we do is we have a little piece of material here called a finger sling, or we have a larger one like this called a wrist sling, and the bow leaves the hand and drops. The reason being, you want to do as little as possible to the bow. You do not want to interfere with what the bow's doing, because if you do, you will mess it up. No matter how good you are, you will mess it up. So that's why it's designed like that. Quickly, the last one. You don't get to pull this one, because this one is brutal. It's a compound bow. Cams, okay? When you pull a compound bow, oh, where's my quiver gone? When you pull a compound bow, you don't pull it with your hand. You pull it with a thing called a release aid. Remember what I said about not wanting to touch the bow? Well, the back end's true as well. Your fingers put an action on that, okay? This, however, is a release aid. And when I click it, it comes away. And all of that difficulty of getting your fingers out of the way of the string is gone, okay? I won't be releasing this either, because this is 45 pound at best. But the difference with this one is because of the cams, the initial bit is really, really tough. After you get back to about here, there, you get away from that, and I am holding literally 5 pound of weight. Okay? Again, the hand's clear, and I will put my finger on the trigger. I will not demonstrate that in case I do set it off. And that then makes the shot. Again, I've got a sight at the front. I also have a thing called a peep sight. See where my nose is? There's a little circle of plastic. So I'm looking through that, looking through the sight, and that gives me much greater accuracy. And I'm going to put this down. You see the kick? That's the poundage coming through. Okay. I don't release any of these bows because that energy has to go somewhere. And in this one, basically half these cams would probably take off to the walls. All right? So we don't mess about with that. But you would wreck the bows. The arrow takes all of it. So your arrow is getting an almighty kick up the bum every time we release the string. Okay? Right. Let's go look at some film. I have to watch myself. I could talk about bows all day. Right. What do we have? Haha. Who's this? Who is it? Come on, we're at a Comic-Con. Who is it? Well, yeah, let's do the actress first then. It's Jennifer Gardner. Who's she playing? Marvel movies. Elektra. Yeah, what is Elektra? What does she do? What's her profession? An assassin. Okay? She's going to take a shot here. Well, she's not actually going to take a shot. She's going to set up for a shot with a compound bow, a very special compound bow. So let's watch and see what she does. What's this bit especially? What's the sight? Okay. I'm going to run it again. What I want you to look out for on the compound bow is this, the eyepiece, and the view through the scope. All right? So she's setting up the bow from a bag. That's reasonably viable. All right. Okay. This is an interactive talk. Do we think that's a reasonable shot she's going to do? Do we have any issues?
One thing is, I think they want to sight, and to me, it's more of scope than what you expect from that.
The scope, the actual view of the scope in terms of the numbers at the side and all that, that's legit. That is legit. It's an electronic feed. It will have an internal balance, and I'll actually say this is up, down, whatever, okay? I have a problem, however, with the actual view through the scope. It's a magnified scope, okay? Now, you saw where she was shooting. There was a house over quite some distance away. So we're maybe talking what? I mean, it's hard to tell, but half a K, maybe? Yeah. Now, the bow can reach it.
You'd have to be shooting upwards for the trajectory, so you would be looking, so she's got to adjust that first. She's got to know the distance.
You would have, yes, you would have to be able to sight it, and it'd have to have a mark, but she could have a mark to say that's the distance. So that's, they can get round that one. That's another one I'm going to come back to. That scope, yeah? You're looking at something half a kilometer away through a magnifying glass. How steady are you? That is unbelievable. I shoot these things at 90 meters, and they move. Now, they don't move a lot, but that's 90 meters. She would have to be unbelievably still. Did anybody see how unbelievably unstill she was? She's actually physically moving. In the scene, she's having doubts as well, so she's meant to be under pressure. So she's probably acting it properly, as if I'm not still, I should have a bit of emotion here. But that scope will bounce, and it will bounce off that window. It won't just be it will move like this or this. It will be on some different part of the house. It is that crazy, yeah? Shooting through glass. She's going to shoot him with an arrow. How many assassinations have you heard of in the last 100 years done with a bow and arrow? Because let's face it, it's just so much easier. Anybody would use a gun. The bullet comes out much quicker. You don't know anything about it, and it certainly doesn't stop for glass. Arrows will. They will be deflected by it. Yeah? So, not great. It's coming out of the box. That's the other thing I want to talk about. Can you build these out of a box? Yes, you can. However, you've got two cams, okay? To get the string onto this, you have a thing called a bow press, and it literally crushes it, thereby making the string loose. I don't know what she's done, because this string is going to have to be set to about 80 or 90 pound at least, if not a lot more. So you're like, hang on, how did you get the string on? You had no bow press, you just had a box with all your bits. So, yes. Is it something that could be done? Yes. Should you do it? No. But it's Jennifer Garner, and I forgive her everything. I always do. Okay. Let's go and have a look at another one. Sorry, I need my glasses again. That's not my shorts. Where's my shorts? There they are. All right. Come on. My shorts. I don't know why, but we're not doing stuff now. Hang on. Let's try that again. Sorry, it's Hang up on me, technology. There we go. Right. Let's go and see everybody's favorite then. This is Legolas. This is Lord of the Rings. Which movie? Yeah, first one. What's he attacking there? He's of a cave troll. Remember? Okay, let's have a look at Legolas. He's got a very straightforward bow. Now he's firing 2 arrows. Wow. Okay. So, cave troll. We got a bow, and the bow is similar to something like this. Okay? So, he's pulling his bow, he's firing it quickly. Yeah? He's using that previous style of where you just use your eyes. Okay? And he's firing at a cave troll. Do we have any issues with what Legolas is doing? Now, he's got great dexterity. He can jump about like anything, even if the CGI looked awful. He can still do it. Do we have any problems with what he's doing with the bow? It'd be very difficult to aim. I would grant that. When you pull a bow back, you should pull it back under a lot of control. Because if you do that, your muscles are in completely the wrong alignment. And that affects where the arrow actually goes. So that is a valid point. But more than that, if you're up close and the target is, if I'm shooting this gentleman, don't waste too, sir, but if I had to, and I was doing that, to be honest, a little tilt up and down in the arrow, it's going to hit him. All right? He shot 1 arrow, first of all. Then he shot the second. Is that a problem, do you think? Shooting 2 arrows at once. Can you shoot 2 arrows at once?
You've got to be able to balance both arrows against the bow. Normally, you can do one, but when it's such a like the other one goes.
You can do it, and you can knock the arrows, and there are people who have knocked 3, 4, and 5 arrows on and shot them. You can do it. Remember what I said about the arrow getting a kick up the bum? What happens if you've got 2 arrows? It gets halved. He's just had a cave troll come out. Big, thick skin. That's why he's shooting him up close. And his arrows now have half power. But they both actually go the same distance in. Do you know the trouble I have watching films? Lord of the Rings is a great, enjoyable film, a great ride through. Totally honestly, the archery in it is hilarious from front to back. And I think I actually find that quite sad because the clothing, the costumes, the detail done everywhere else, phenomenal. But most of the archery is CGI'd because they're not standing there on production sets firing arrows. That's dangerous. They don't do that. So the CGI obviously goes into detail of how things look, but not how they're actually enacted. And it's very hard, especially if you're not an archer, to portray an archer as well, especially when there's no arrow. And if you always notice with Legolas, he shoots and then and everything goes everywhere. Yeah? If you go to the Olympics or even go into the field archery championships, the key thing with archery is, when you go back and you let go, you don't do anything. The bow does everything. So if you flourish and move, it actually affects that moment of the shot, and it'll put it off. So this cavalier looks good, but it's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Let's go on to another one. Right. We're going to the boss man himself now. I don't know about you, but I looked at it and I thought, that's no problem at all. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of license here, but let's actually take a serious look, okay? Hawkeye has no superpowers. That's the first thing to note, okay? So let's break it down with what's going on. All right, come on. Right. You look at that shot. In a normal archery shot, what would you do? You would say, there's my target, line myself up, and away we go. He's got a bent bow, that's fine. He's doing the traditional method, and a lot of traditional archers shoot with the bow slightly tilted. That's fine, it's not a problem. He's at how many thousand feet? If I remember, they actually went up to really, really high. And this is one of the problems I have with the film. They were actually up at a level where outside was going to be really difficult to breathe. That was said by Banner, Black Widow, and Captain America before when they went inside and the helicarrier lifted. Okay? So first of all, we're at a height that is wholly ridiculous for a human to perform anything at. But the back door's open, we're going for it. Okay? No problem. One thing I haven't talked about in archery yet, and the thing everybody wants to talk to me about, how bad is the wind? It's never this bad. Seriously. How do you even know what the wind's doing? This is so high up. You have big engines here, some of which are turning, causing who knows what drafts. You're up in the upper stratosphere, and the winds up there do what they want. That's why your plane gets bumpy sometimes. On an archery field, we have a windsock. He's not been able to deploy his here. But let's watch the flight of the arrow. Did you see that? It went out that way, then it turned around and came back on itself. That's a problem. Does anybody know why? The problem is this. If you fire out that way and the wind's doing this to bring it back that way, you're going to slow the arrow down. Arrow moves within the air body. It then turns, which is fair enough because eventually it will move. Okay? It's a little bit too graceful in what happens to it to come back, but we'll forgive them that. But when it comes back, it'll have no power because all your power was going that way. The arrow doesn't keep power. It's not a... If you turn a car to go that way after going this way in a handbrake turn, you actually have to apply power to go that way. The car actually continues to go until you apply power that way. Arrows the same. Arrows only go the way they're kicked. So he kicks it that way, the wind comes, so all you would have going this way, the arrow's speed would be the speed of the wind. And yet it prangs into metal, boom, and attaches. Yeah, so yes, you have to suspend your belief, but no, sorry, it was too much. And I'm not even going to talk to you about how you even cited how to do that. Right, let's check my time. Actually, we're okay, we're pretty good. Let's go and have a look at another one. Playlist. Sorry, I keep forgetting to put my glasses on. This is really bad of me. Ah, right. Okay. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and do a good one now. You're going to like this one. We're coming home, guys. We'll watch it one more time. Okay. What film's it? Maeve. Yeah, back in Scotland. What do we think of her shooting? Do you think anything's wrong with it? Now, obviously not the result. Is there anything wrong with it? She's got two eyes open. Is that a problem? No. She's no sight. She's perfectly entitled to use two eyes. If you've no sight, and specifically a peep sight, as on the compound, this little plastic one, you can keep both eyes open. In a recurve, this one here, when you shoot with two eyes open on a sight, two sights appear in front of you. And if you close one eye, you see one. If you close the other one, you see the other. Yeah, and you have to know which one's the real one, because one is your dominant eye, and you must shoot with the dominant eye. Okay? She's shooting traditionally. It's not quite a longbow, but it's everything but. So she will shoot with two eyes, and the brain tells her how to point, where to come to, how to do all of that stuff. Yeah? So there's nothing wrong with having the two eyes open. She should have her hair tied back better. As an archery coach, I'm disgusted by that. But, you know, they weren't aware of health and safety in those times, so we'll forgive that. What about the arrow? Let's watch the arrow a minute. Okay, let's watch it again. Look at the bend on that arrow. Is that reasonable, that bend? It's not exaggerated at all. That is what an arrow does. And especially on everything except the compound bow, that's what the arrow does. You have got a stick like this, and you have got the arrow. Yeah? The string is behind the stick, but the arrow is over here, where it points. So the contact point is here, but that's there. So therefore, when you drive in to the arrow, it has to bend around the stick. And that is spot on. That is unbelievably good. And that's not even a photo. They drew that. That is detail, everyone. That is detail. The other detail to watch is her hand. Go on, start. See the hand? And starts moving backwards. That's what happens. You have to clear your hand out of the way. The way you do that is go backwards. But you never beat the string, really. And that is incredibly accurate. The only bit I have a problem with is the bit at the end. I'm not sure the arrow would split like that.
The make of the flying is, it will film out into a box. If you want a bamboo, that won't let the video stop.
Most arrows are not cut so it hit a plane like that, to go like that. Other than that, this is the most accurate archery I have found in the movies. And it's done by Disney. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But it is. That's what happens. And we have photographs at our club of us shooting and my arrow bending. Arrows are not solid. They bend. Now, don't bend it too much because it goes snap. Yeah? But when you put something up that backside, it bends like that as it comes out. It's a thing called the archer's paradox. The compound bow is different. The compound bow, the arrow goes right in the middle and the string is right behind it. There is no bending like that. There will be a slight bend because you've just given something a rather big kick up the backside, and that energy transmits through. and it doesn't always get there in the most positive of fashion, so you get a little bit of bend, but not like that. Yeah? No, the bows are nice. I'll just shut this down a minute here. Normally, you fire wooden bows with the longbow. Flat bows, yes, normally wooden. You can fire other types of arrow with them, but they're originally designed with wood. These ones here, you would usually shoot either a platinum, a wooden, a metal arrow, or you shoot what's called a composite or an all-carbon arrow. All carbon arrows are the best. Very, very strong, fly really, really well. However, if you're shooting on a field that's used for other sports, you have to be able to find them if you lose them. So we have a composite which has metal running through it. So therefore you can metal detect with them. Longest we've ever looked for an arrow, 2.5 days. Yeah. And that was done with a demonstration by a coach. And I tell that to you all the time because it wasn't me. Carbon arrows, generally nowadays, and then composites. Carbon arrows you have to be very careful with. If a carbon arrow snaps, all the little bits go into your hand. Every time you try and take it out, they keep breaking. The composites on the metal arrows, well, it's just a metal fragment. It's not nice, but hey, at least it comes out. Okay. I'm going to show you some of what humans do with arrows. Okay? I'm going to show you, first of all, one of the world's best female archers to show you how an arrow is shot. This is Anne San.
Both here.
In competition, under enormous pressure. This is a recurve bow. Look at the steadiness. Yeah? That's 70 meters away, by the way. If you watch when she puts it up, I talk about the bow coming out your hand. Watch the bow after the shot. The bow has actually left her hand. It is on this little piece of string, and it is swings. Yeah? Unbelievable. She's about this height, Anne San, and she is one of the best archers in the world. She's an incredibly strong person, and it doesn't show because it's not on the arms, it's all in the back. Okay. Let's see, I have some fun ones here. Oh, actually, first of all, do I have her here? Let's have her. Yeah, let's have a look at this one. Archery is done off horseback as well.
Throughout much of history,
Because archery on the ground is not difficult enough. It's a slightly different bow style that I've talked about because it's the Asian style. I'm not going into that because it's too confusing to do all of them. But think about it. You've got to control the horse at the same time as actually pulling up and shooting. These bows can pull to here, not under a lot of strain. I say not under a lot. They're probably at about 30 pounds. Yeah? When you get back to the back end of them, they start ramping up every extra inch, 5 pound, 5 pound. So, of course, when you're a horse and you're nowhere near your target, you don't want to be standing like this the whole time. You want to get close, and then you want to, away you go. But we still do that. That's still what we do. Let's check my time. Okay. 2 more to show you very quickly.
She is an amazing archer.
Never say you can't do archery. No arms. No arms. She's shooting a compound bow. It's got a strap over the back, and she pulls back that way. Yeah. This one here, this is James Jean. He does lots of trick shots. He's quite something extra. See the arrow? Watch this bit, the slow motion this. It's off a string and back. Looking in a mirror to shoot. Well, we know that bit. But that's your eyes. His arrow, you may notice, has adaptations to it. That's why it's swinging away and doing all sorts of different things. I tried this last week. It wasn't quite as good. If you ever get James Jean, go on, have a look. He's amazing. The thing about all these trick shots, because you may be sitting and saying, you said we couldn't do all of this. It's all adapted. The arrows are adapted. His arrows do this because they've actually got different bits on them further up the arrow. And it's amazing what he does. The looking in the mirror is completely genuine, but that's training your senses to work in reverse. You know, but he's still looking. Anybody remember Hawkeye's shot in the Avengers film where he does this and actually takes somebody out in the sky while almost chatting to someone over here? No. 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 You could let it go. You could pull it back the right amount if you thought so. But no, not at a target that's on the move. If it was stationary, maybe. You might have, I've clocked it, it hasn't moved. But it's on the move? No. No, 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 no. Hopefully, I've given you an idea of what's involved in archery and actually how difficult and fun it is and how much goes into the actual arrows in that. I've also hopefully shown you that Disney do actually pull it out of the bag sometimes. Yeah. If you ever want the time to come and do archery, you're interested, we shoot down at Back Hall on a Wednesday night. Island Archers, look us up on Facebook, get in touch. You're more than welcome. First session free, not a problem. We've come on a lot. We go to the Island Games. That's where we shoot. We've brought the youngsters on as well. Archery's great. And as you can see, archery's for everyone. People with no arms do it. There is actually blind archery. That's not my shooting. That's actually people who are blind. Okay? So, finally, any questions? Is anything there? People are sitting thinking, oh, I want to know this. I want to know. Feel free.
There's the thing in, you saw it with Legolas, especially in fantasy movies, where the elephants are placed into a machine gun.
Yes.
How fast can you accurately shoot?
There is a lady who shoots literally at within 2 to 3 seconds. Ansan, I showed you, is a very fast archer for the Olympics. She hits most arrows away within 6 to 8 seconds. But there are people who basically go boom, 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 and they will hit a target probably 20 yards away. Obviously, you're talking 70, 90 meters. You've got to be a lot more controlled. And it's when you shoot and you get up, there comes a point when you settle. When you first come up, your muscles actually have to settle down, so they're in the right place. And you settle on the target, and it stops really moving, and it moves a little bit, and that's when you know you're in the right place and let it go. Closer you are, really good archers can do it quickly and still hit the target. They won't be hitting the middle of a target every time, but they'll hit the target, yeah. So you can go a bit like a machine gun. However, you still have to pull that bow. And yeah, whether you can do that for 10, 12 times in under a minute, I don't know. Anybody else? No? Well, thank you for coming. A great audience. I hope you enjoyed that. And we'll see you next year. Yeah.